This is a Powerworks podcast short with Glenn Power and me, James Pikeway.
The process of...
And nothing against Umramul, by the way.
Oh, no, it's just, I mean, same, Alcuza's known for garages, and it'd be the same, you could have the same thing here. You couldn't say it about anywhere else because we don't really have garages anywhere else, do we? But, I mean, the process of vehicle arriving and vehicle leaving sounds quite simple. And then when you try and write it down as a schematic, it's really complicated. And then things like this happen, so you have to add things in. You know, we've had similar things where whenever there's a vehicle in for service, if it has a baby seat in the back, which at least half the cars we see have baby seats.
Why aren't they taking them out? Like, I mean,
a lot of two car families will have
so they have
seats in each
double
car.
seats, right? Okay, gotcha.
So, you know, if we are doing a service on it, we have to check the seat belts.
Yeah.
Now, strangely, and I don't know if this has changed in the last 10 years since I've been in the UK, but on an MOT, if there was a baby seat in there, and on a service, this was our standards for service as well at VW, we weren't allowed to undo the seatbelt and check it. Now, this is obviously before ISOFIX.
Right.
ISOFIX means that this isn't always a problem now. But in the case of a seatbelt strapped seat, we weren't allowed to undo the seat to check the seatbelt. So it was automatically ignored.
Mm.
I don't like that here, because if it's got a problem, you need to know if it's holding the seat in for the kid, right? Now, maybe my attitude's changed because I've got two kids of my own now. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't like the idea of a seatbelt failing in a car accident that's got a kid's seat on. Now, we've taken seats out to do that. Now, when we do that, we put them in the boot or we put them on the seat upside down so that it's clear and obvious that we've done that. You know, in the instance of putting a baby seat back in, you don't want to strap it in yourself with a seatbelt because the technician might do it or we might do it wrong.
Right.
And then what happens?
Yeah.
But it needs to be clear and obvious to the customer that it has been removed, so that they don't just put it back on the seat but don't strap it in, and then they put a baby in there.
Then they're cursing you because, you know how long it took me to get that thing in there.
You know, and it's like, it's 50 degrees outside.
Sweating like a
sandstorm.
Marathon runner. Yeah. Oh.
So there's always, so it's like, okay, so then, and before you know it, you've got a process that's got 15 steps, and then each step has a couple of subsections, and then subsections get subsectioned, because I forgot about that. And before, you've got to end up with a Magna Carta before you're done. Yeah. And then it's like, oh man, then how, it's okay for me because I've been sat in front of a screen or with a pen and paper preferably and worked it all out, and I get it because I'm working through it in my head, and then I pass it over to DJ and he's just like, what is this? Where have you got that from? What do you mean? Why is the technician checking his temperature every 3 minutes? What are you doing? And because you just get lost in it. Oh man, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and So it's there's always going to be problems, and I guess the point of it all was to just say that there should always be a back and forth between everybody involved in it. There should always be some kind of dialogue between everyone where the technicians should be open and should feel able to be open with me and DJ and everyone else and say, look, you keep giving me a job like this, but I think it'd be better if you did it this way. And that, from being a technician, I know for a fact the best ideas tend to come from them because they're the ones doing the work. Yeah. And it's very important that we don't lose sight of that with everything else that we're trying to do, sell parts and find customers to actually come in through the door and keep the floors clean and keep the tools in check. And so it's a bit of an animal at times.